Most people seem to have missed that crypto isn't just about Bitcoin possibly replacing gold as a store of value. At least those that aren't really paying close attention to crypto. They're missing that there is something else huge happening here. It's a Web 3.0 revolution. Now, blockchain and cryptographic encryption allow for the internet to do things it couldn't do before with much better security, much lower costs, much better traceability and verification. And this boom in efficiency is going to create a massive boom in crypto in the coming years as the internet revolution that came about during Web 2.0 gets updated to the current capabilities that are really only now being explored and discovered. I asked my good friend, Daniel Friedman, who was one of the early employees of IOHK back in the early days, and he helped Cardano pioneer their frontier. He has recently formed a company with a friend and co-founder where they are exploring what Web 3.0 can do for global marketplaces and ordering. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. If you, like me, came into crypto because you realized the potential for life-changing gains over a 4 to 8 year period, and you're looking for discussions on becoming a solid, unshakable, savage crypto investor, like a Navy SEAL in the crypto investing world, well, you're in exactly the right place and the right family, the Rainmaker family. Now, the reason I created this channel is because I was once new to crypto, like many of you. For me, that was 7 years ago. And back then I was looking for a crypto channel and a network that understood crypto as an investment and discussed the most important things like investment cycles, the projects and the pros and cons of those projects, the real pros and cons, not just the surface level, the risks, the guess the upside if it came together well. And I didn't find that myself, so we created it, myself and the Rainmaker family. Now, you'll find our Rainmaker family here in the chat. You will see some in the free Telegram group. The link to that is below. And you will definitely find them in our private Patreon group that allows you access to our Rainmaker private Discord. And this is where the best discussion and best info is discussed. There are other benefits too, but you would have to join us to find out. Do note, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself. So if you haven't already, make it rain on that like button, strap in for the show, put your hands together for Daniel Friedman from Zengate, who is joining me as my guest today. Daniel, good to have you here.
Great to be back, Rain. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, last time I had you on, you were at IOG and you were helping Cardano and the Cardano network push forward.
Yes, I was. I spent over 7 years at IOG actually, and so my tenure at IOG ended this July, I believe, was the last. Yeah, July 1st, I believe, was the last day of my tenure at IOG, and during that time, I am privileged to say that I was part of building Cardano and building the Sawsum ecosystem. And even though I'm not with IOG anymore, I remained in the ecosystem. And also, of course, the other ecosystem, our kind of sibling ecosystem, the Ergo ecosystem, has been amazing as well. And I've been working in that ecosystem for about 2.5 years now, and we'll continue working in that ecosystem because, again, amazing community, amazing tech, amazing opportunities for people ready to build and people that are looking for a place where first principles and really what the blockchain movement is about still remain clear. And so, yeah, I'm still, of course, in the Cardano ecosystem as well. And again, will remain in the Cardano ecosystem for the same exact reasons.
You know, what's interesting when I have discussion from non-crypto people, right? They really just fixate on like thinking it's all about Bitcoin, and they don't understand the technology revolution. So Bitcoin really founded, it was blockchain 1.0, which brought together this idea of cryptographic encryption combined with a blockchain or a decentralized ledger. But then with ETH and then some of the third generation blockchains really pushing forward the efficiencies that could unlock Web 3.0. So all those people fixated on whether they're interested in Bitcoin are missing the bigger revolution that's happening that really only came about because of Bitcoin, but have gone far beyond the argument of whether Bitcoin replaces gold as store of value. Whether or not that happens, blockchain is making massive strides towards improving the efficiencies in the internet for traceability, cost reduction, being able to know that you're really dealing with who you think you're dealing with, things like that. And this efficiency is going to lead to huge amounts of money and wealth transfers into people that make good decisions on which companies are going to lead that revolution. Cardano's been working hard to pioneer that. And I've been an investor in Cardano all the way since, I think, 2019, and been a big fan of what Charles Hoskinson has done there. And the ecosystem, the community's solid. Now, you're recently founding a company called Zengate with a co-founder. For the audience out there, what is Zengate and what is Zengate doing?
Right. So Zengate actually has been around for a little over a year now, and basically, Zengate is all about opportunity inclusion, and that is the tech that we create. What inspired me working in the early days of Cardano was the mission-driven initiatives that we did. So when we worked in Africa and bringing digitization to credentials over there. When we did the same in Georgia, we worked in other spaces as well, in other jurisdictions, and it really, working in emerging economies always gave me this feeling of satisfaction, because I felt that we're truly doing something that makes a difference. And really, some people, especially during the bull run, like to ridicule that, because during the bull run, a lot of people just care about numbers go up. And then, I constantly get this thing. It's like, well, most of us are just here to make money. It's like, well, yeah, of course, but that's not all we're here for, right? And it's okay to want to be making profit from what you're doing, but to me, just to make profit is just it's uninspiring. For me, I need to have something that satisfies me on that impact level. And again, going back to what Zengate is about, it's about working in emerging economies and working with MSMEs in those emerging economies and bringing them solutions that are basically an aggregate of Web 2 and Web 3 technologies, because we believe that this is the way to go forward to get mass adoption for blockchain tech. You don't blockchain everything. You blockchain where blockchain is needed, and then you aggregate it with solutions that are already there that make the most sense. And so all that boils down to what we call opportunity inclusion. And this is a big, big thing at Zengate. Everything we build is about opportunity inclusion. And so what that means is we believe that, well, I believe personally, and we believe at Zengate, that kind of the saying of leveling the playing field is a little bit too, It's, you don't need to level playing fields for people to succeed. Playing fields are never leveled. Even the ones that are the most, seen the most leveled are not leveled. There's always somebody who's got advantages, somebody's got disadvantages, right? What we do is bring technology that creates opportunity for people who did not have the opportunity before to succeed and to better their livelihoods. And then it is up to them to take that opportunity. Hence, opportunity inclusion.
Well, so we hear like inclusiveness. It's actually one of my least favorite buzzwords in the crypto community, because it's not like defined well. It's like, we're going to bank the unbanked in Africa. I heard that in like 2017 by Electronium all the time, right? And no, they didn't. But what you're doing is interesting. So let's talk about this actual inclusion, like firsthand. Like, tell me about, like, you were explaining to me one time when we were talking months ago about how people in the specialized industry of tea, like mate and stuff, how they couldn't reach marketplaces. So they might be producing like a highly specialized tea, but they didn't have access to marketplaces that were efficient. And how you thought Web 3.0 could make that possible to really deliver on this one of my least favorite buzzwords, inclusion, though I am strongly behind the principle of inclusion. I just often it gets thrown out, and I only like it when I can nail it down and say, oh, this really is actually reaching people that wouldn't otherwise have access to a marketplace.
Yeah, I think inclusion gets thrown around a lot, and
All the
the
time.
term,
Right.
and I think it's kind of gets used in the wrong way. Just like just like some people say, well, that's too capitalist. Well, of course it's. I mean, there's nothing wrong with capitalism.
Yeah.
Crony capitalism is not okay. Nothing is wrong with capitalism. Capitalism is a great system if you do it in an ethical way.
Mm-hmm.
The same with inclusion, right? So if you are forcing inclusion because you feel that you have to go and save Africa or something like that, I mean that's basically the thing that we're actually not into is going out and saying, we're here to save you. Our technology is here to save you. I think that's demoralizing, and I think it's actually pretty demeaning to come
Meaning, yeah.
somewhere and to say, well, you guys screwed up, so now we're here to fix you with our cool tech. And I think some of the blockchain projects kind of do that, and I just don't think that is healthy.
Yeah, when you connect up real things, so what are some real use cases, if there are any that you can share? Because I know it's still early days and you don't necessarily want to tip off all your competitors to exactly what you're doing. But what are some use cases that Zengate or some marketplace that Zengate is trying to bring together?
So, I mean, it's no secret what we're doing. So I have no problem tipping off my competition, especially since we don't have really any direct competition right now, because the solution that we're bringing is so innovative. Again, it is is the aggregate solution that is really that is what makes the innovation in Palmyra. So some of the things that we're doing is actually tokenization, but it's not tokenization. It's not RWA tokenization in its, I guess, traditional form as what some in the blockchain space are doing right now. So traditional tokenization, or if you want to call it that, because we're just really getting into the crux of it in this particular bull run, but essentially, a lot of places, what they'll do is they'll take an asset and then they'll issue a token that represents the asset on chain. And then they will sell the token that will, I guess, have fractional ownership or dividend ownership of an asset. And so that's how you transfer the store of value for the asset. While somebody, like say if it's gold, somebody's actually custodying the gold, they have proof of reserve, and so then the token and then so that makes the token legitimate, and so you can easily trade it and easily transfer value. So that is one use case for tokenization. However, what we do is different. Of course, we have a token that represents the asset, but again, our specialty is the aggregate solution. And so where it started for me was the thought of, so during the last bull run, we of course had the NFT boom. We had the NFT spring and the NFT summer. And I was actually really fascinated with NFTs even way back in 2016, 2017. Actually, one of the first times I really really started digging into NFTs was when Charles asked me to go over a paper about colored tokens. So this is back in 2016. I believe who the paper was by, but it was I think it was what was it? Anyway, I forgot which blockchain it was. Anyway, Stellar. That's it. Stellar colored tokens and how they work. And so I started looking into this. And I'm saying, this is interesting. This is very interesting. So it's a non-fungible asset. So you don't create basically money, but you create a cryptographic asset that is unique. So it's kind of like sort of almost the opposite, right? It's instead of paying with currency, you're paying with I guess a commodity, or not even a commodity. You're paying with a um, art or something like that, right? So I'll trade you this Picasso for this Ferrari. I'm not going to trade you, $200,000 for this Ferrari. That's kind of what we're thinking about. Okay, cool. And so from that, I started really looking into it. And when the NFT boom happened, I was at first happy, saying that, okay, cool. Now we're going to get into all this really cool stuff that we can do with blockchain, with cryptography, and with non-fungible assets. And then it just went to this one direction of IP, which is a good direction. But I was just thinking, well, what about all this other stuff that you can do with the NFT? And so from that, basically, I came out of the last bull run unsatisfied by the fact that we only went in really one direction with the NFT. And so I started thinking, well, okay, so we do have the degen movement, right? So we do have traction for the technology, but how do we utilize it more? And so I looked at spaces like OpenSea, and I said, okay, so here is, right, so they're trading images, right, for the most part, images, maybe some music, but it's mostly IP, intellectual property. But I like the movement, right? I like the ease of ease of transfer. I like the UX because it's a light UX. It is a fun UX, right? You don't feel intimidated like you would with some trading platforms that have to do with stocks and bonds and whatever. That's why a lot of people don't really get into it, because they look at this thing and like, okay, where do I start? You get 50,000 graphs and you got all these different terms I don't understand. With NFTs, you're just like, oh, that's a cool picture. I like the art. Okay, I'll trade it for this art. Makes a lot of sense. So I started thinking, well, okay, well, what if we took the NFT and we utilize its properties for, say, storing metadata, and for its so storing iterations, for example, and state changes. Okay, so now we have something that can actually store information like, say, traceability. Now you have something that can actually attach itself to credentials, to things like proof of origin, to all this information, all this important information that can create a real data store of value from the NFT. And so then I started thinking, okay, well, to me, that's tokenization. That's what tokenization is about. It's not just about saying that this token is this real world thing. It's about that this token is this real world thing plus all this other information that this real world thing by itself doesn't have attached to it. And that's why you need this cryptographic asset to move with it, almost like this digital footprint, to move with the asset so that the value is transferred from one person to the next. And so, or from producer, in our case, from producer to buyer. And so essentially that's where the tokenization protocol happened. The Winter Protocol happened. And so with the Winter Protocol is a tokenization protocol, but it also has embedded traceability. It also has embedded credentials, and will have embedded credentials, and things like a point of origin, and things like, say, authentication or anti-counterfeiting measures. So I mean that's how it's different. That's how it works. That's what's innovative about this protocol, and that is why I think where truly the technology can help is to bring these things. Like I said, you can't attach all this information to the real world asset. I can't.
So can we boil it down, Daniel? It's something like, we're talking pretty high level, which you've been in the crypto space for like 7 years. For someone who's fairly new to crypto, like, what does this really mean? Like, how does this connect? What's an example of someone who's working with Zengate or your ideal thing that can connect to the product, like some specific use case that they can understand? Like, We were talking when I was talking with you and your co-founder Sam a while back, and you were telling me about the mate producer out of Argentina trying to find a marketplace for his product. And then you could use it because then you know who the producer is. So you also know the product that they're producing, and using NFTs to keep track of like who the producer is and their background and what kind of track record they've had of producing quality stuff. At the same time, being able to track their exact product shipping. Could you share with us some specifics like that, so those users or people who are newer to crypto can kind of wrap their arms around the tangibility of what this is then doing?
Okay. And this is just one out of many features of this particular technology. You go to the store, right? You go to Trader Joe's, or you go to Whole Foods, right? And you love tea, right? And so you go and you buy Ceylon tea. Now, how many times have you actually gone to buy Ceylon tea and you said, okay, it's Ceylon tea? You go and you basically take the store's reputation, and you take the trademark reputation to convince you that the product that you're buying really is what they say it is. But a lot of times it's not. In fact, there's quite a bit of counterfeiting, quite a bit of mixing going on, quite a bit of just mislabeling going on. Now, if I told you that you went out and you paid $50 for a kilo of premium Ceylon tea, but it's actually not. It's actually a bunch of stuff that cost somebody $5 because it was blended with a bunch of stuff that they found in some warehouse and they slapped a sticker on it. And it's not Trader Joe's fault. It's not Whole Foods' fault, because they only have a certain visibility into the process. So when this particular supply chain inside on the producer side breaks down, they don't really have any visibility into that. They just take the producer's word for it. So yeah, later on they're going to get, if they find out that they've actually been sold garbage, there's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be all this, fallout. But how do you prevent that? How do you prevent Crypto Rain, from getting ripped off and paying for something that you thought was quality but is not quality? Mm-hmm. That's how you utilize this technology, because with this technology, you don't have to trust me, bro. You don't have to trust Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or the tea producer, or not the tea producer, the company that is selling the tea. You don't have to trust Lipton or whatever. You look at the traceability information that's available on chain with the asset. You can see where it came from. You can see where it was processed. You can see what hands it changed. You can make your own decisions. It's a trustless environment. And therefore, you have better visibility into the supply chain, into the value chain, and you have more control over your assets. And that is, again, in its core, one of the main things of what the blockchain movement is about: control of your assets. And so you have control over not getting ripped off by somebody who says they're selling you one thing, but they're actually selling you something else.
My wife just went through this. She ordered a product on Amazon. She had ordered that product before and it worked great for years. And she ordered one and it was from the same supplier. Mm-hmm. And it was a cheap knockoff from probably China or somewhere, right? And like the same supplier and everything. The supplier probably didn't even know. Somehow within their system, a bunch had been like brought in that was cheap crap and didn't work. And so but she bought it from the same place, the same supplier.
Yeah, there you go.
Because then they don't necessarily have visibility into who they're getting. And so the process is there's just a lot of trust, and we prefer trustless systems where it's like, when we do go to Trader Joe's, I am trusting that hopefully this is the stuff that I said, because Trader Joe's, they've got a good reputation, but sometimes they're buying from a warehouse and they're trusting that warehouse isn't going to send them the wrong stuff. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes out of malfeasance, sometimes it's just an employee who's substituting some stuff and making some money on the side. But with blockchain and traceability, the difficulty of doing that goes up 100-fold. So then all of a sudden we get to a trustless system where like the chances that the blockchain was like somewhere some bad stuff was inserted, it's going to be much harder to do. And you can just like scan it, right? And see the history. Oh, this came from such and such place and was shipped over to here, and then here. Wow. The amount of information you can see to verify.
In fact, you can even see where it was created. You can take a virtual tour in some cases. And it's actually something that we're also going to be implementing on Palmyra later on next year, is virtual tours of the plantation where the tea or what in the case of Sri Lanka tea, where the tea was sourced from, in other commodities where the other commodities were sourced from, the cinnamon, the rubber, Greek olive oil, or whatever else we're going to be putting on the platform. So there's so many factors involved, and so you see, and there's also another aspect. So I'll break it down a little bit more. So you were saying Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that your wife bought something in Amazon. It wasn't it was from the same supplier, right? But
she
all
just
of a sudden,
went to order it again. Yep. But this product was
well. What's great about Amazon is, so if you buy it with Amazon Prime, they have this really kind of super user friendly, really great UX type of a customer service and return policy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually, in Japan, companies like to make up their own return policies quite a bit, which is kind of annoying because they always kind of try to say, well, we're not going to accept returns, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. But then they put this stuff on Amazon, and even though they write it up on Amazon, it's just like, well, yeah, but that's not how it works here. So you can write whatever you want, but you still have to take returns. And they enforce this because of their platform, right? So they can enforce it because their platform is big enough, and they can provide this UX where you don't have to really worry. You buy this thing, you're not going to have to worry about calling 15 people and fighting with them on the phone and getting your money back. You just send it back. They just say it's very clear. You send it here, you get your money back into your account. This is the date you have to send it by. We'll even send somebody out to your house to pick it up. Okay, which is all great. But on the business side, that's overhead. How many millions of dollars is Amazon spending on that service? Now, granted, it's tied into their monetization structure, so obviously it's not costing them more to do that than it is to. It's basically, it doesn't have too much of a negative effect on their profits, so it's all kind of balanced out. But not everybody can do that. Some places can't do that, and so you again get into this situation where a business that's caught in the middle of it is also going to take a hit because of a producer. Yeah, they might take your merchandise back and say, yeah, we're sorry, we'll replace it for something else, and they'll make good with you. But then they have to deal with it as a business and have to go through all this BS with trying to get their money back from the supplier.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. There's overhead. There's cost. There's cost to the business. It's negative cost. It's all money leaving. It's all money exiting. No money entering during that transaction. So again, that's where the technology comes in. A lot of this can be mitigated, that's why it's powerful.
We are live. And Vidimon says, Dan, saw you and Sam with Peter Bowie. I'm not sure how to say that.
Peter Bowie, yeah.
Painted a really nice picture about Palmyra. I could not find any project doing what your team is doing, so I got involved with your ISPO as a result.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, we've been really humbled and really, just psyched about the great outpouring of support we've gotten for the ISPO. So our ISPO is live now. We have two pools, Palm 1 and Palm 2. One is 99% saturated pool, or I'm sorry, 99% pool, not saturated yet. 99% pool, basically meaning that is all pretty much Palm token. And we also have a 50% pool. So if you still want to get your ADA rewards and your Palm, it's a 50-50 type of reward structure. Yeah, and it was great to be on Peter's show as well. And yeah, the ISPO is, it's a great tool within the Cardano ecosystem because it's not just about raising capital; it's about building a community. During an ISPO, you really get to really build a community, and the community gets to really interact with you. It's not this kind of more of a cold kind of UX that you get with, say, buying IPO stocks or something like that, right? You go through a broker, and it's like, oh, this company is going to go IPO. I want to buy so many shares or so much, X amount of dollars of stock from the IPO. I mean, yeah, of course, you can try and talk to the company. You can go and contact them. You can try to set up a meeting, but it's not the same as it is in crypto and in blockchain, where you basically get on socials, you get on streams, you talk directly to the founders, you get on Discord. It's a lot more interactive. It's a lot more personable, I think. And again, from our side, it's great to see the outpouring of support. The participants and the ISPOs have been fantastic. And it's really great to be able to interact with people, because now they really have I guess, direct stake in the ecosystem. Once you get the token, or once you get promise of the token, you have direct stake in the ecosystem. And so that kind of amplifies people's interest, because until then, it's just kind of like, well, this is cool, all right, yeah, but now I actually hold a piece of the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
What is this ecosystem all about? And then you really have access to it. You really have access to the founders, and that makes you happy as an investor.
Yeah, that whole idea, which came about kind of accidentally on the Cardano ecosystem, was being able to do an ISPO, which is a fantastic way to build a community and build community support within the Cardano ecosystem. It's really been unique to the Cardano ecosystem, and cool to see how people are then able to delegate their staking rewards essentially to these pools, or delegate their Cardano to these pools, and be able to diversify. I want to give a shout out to some of our family here. Code Out of Poverty makes a great question. So Jay Solon says, "What's up, Rain?" Sounds a bit like VeChain, and it does have some similarities to what VeChain is doing.
Yes, it does. And I actually spoke to one of the founders of VeChain at Rare Evo this year. Yeah, there's a possibility we're going to do something with VeChain as far as integrating some of the functionality that VeChain offers into Palmyra. More specifically, we're looking to do more integration with IoT, and VeChain's got some really good IoT tech. And so that I think that would be very beneficial to the platform. So VeChain is about supply chain, and it's about supply chain management. It's about supply chain technology. But it's still a tool set. It's not a platform per se. It's got products on it, but it's not a platform per se. Our platform is, like I said, it's unique because of how it aggregates all these different solutions and the UX and within which it offers these solutions. And again, there are competitors in a way that are competitors for certain specific parts of what we do, right? So that there's bulk sellers, or there's single source producer buyer connecting services. but there is no solution like ours that has all these components put together into one package, into one streamlined user experience out there. And of course, we welcome competition because um, to us is just a natural progression for this technology. And we really hope that more and more businesses will utilize it in this way. They'll utilize the NFT in this way. They will utilize traceability and tokenization in this way. They will bring opportunity inclusion to more of these markets, not because we're out there to save them, but because these markets is where you can make impact. And these markets is where you can make most impact for them and for your own business. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, makes sense. Daniel, that's a lot of my questions that I had. I really wanted to make the community aware of what you guys are doing within the Cardano ecosystem, and that you do have your ISPO out there. And just to get to hear a little bit about your project, you came at my invitation. This wasn't, Daniel, this is not a sponsored video or anything. I wanted to have them on to make you guys aware of it. Well, yes. Now we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to jump into a private chat. For those that are on the Discord, I will send out a new StreamYard link to Daniel, and then I will send out a StreamYard link in our private Discord, plus a video link for those that just want to watch the video and not ask a question. Just join on the YouTube video. In the private Discord, if you do have a question to join the StreamYard link, and then type what your question is to me, and then I will bring you on to ask Daniel your question. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Rain. Always a pleasure.
All right. Talk to you in a minute.